Hello, my name is Ben,
And I'm Rachel.
and we are the hosts of the Too Vague podcast this week. We have a word. What is that word, Rachel?
Creativity.
That is the word. You are correct. You say that with such gusto. And so, when we talk about creativity, what is the first thing that comes to mind? You as a teacher now turned jewelry maker, what do you think
Pass.
You can't pass on interview style questions. Are you going to pass on every question?
No, I plead the fifth.
Okay. What do you mean about
I don't
creativity?
know. Creativity. So I've always been called, that people have always said that I'm really creative, but I don't think that I've ever seen myself as like an artist. This job that I have, I wrote down, I've never felt more validated in my creativity and like believing it. Like I know I am creative.
Right.
And it's just, during COVID, there was all kinds of things that I started doing like with yarn and just like all different kinds of like art forms.
Just experimenting. Right?
Sketching. It was so much fun to have that freedom to be able to do that at home whenever.
Right.
But it's also such a complex meaning.
Something like what you were doing, like you were a teacher before, right? Did you get to use your creativity there as a teacher? Was there an opportunity for being creative in that environment? Or now that you do this jewelry making, is that something that you find is a more creative sort of outlet for you?
Teaching, I had to be creative in completely different, less exciting ways.
Okay.
So it's not artistically,
right,
but I had to be creative in my lesson plans and in the way that planning out the week and how like incentives and rewards for students on good behavior, extra credit type stuff. Being creative as a teacher, it can only go so far, and it was more just like exhausting.
right.
Now it's like, it's amazing. I have the dream job. This is an incredible thing. I'm getting paid to use my own creativity to make things for people, and it's has been nonstop business since the business started.
Yeah, and do you want to tell the listeners what the business is and within the website and all that?
So my business is called Body by Frost. It is a jewelry and accessory business. My medium is polymer clay. And my style or theme is body parts.
Okay.
Boobs, butts, weens. The whole start of this was just like a viral TikTok video.
Okay.
I made a video in December. I bought some cooking clay to make some earrings for my sisters and my family for Christmas.
Right.
I didn't have any money. I was unemployed for 6 months, and like everyone's getting a homemade Christmas this year. Like that's going to be it.
Right.
And so I was like, I made a pair of eggs, and then I made a flower. And then I just started dicking around with the clay.
Like literally.
And it was just so funny because at the time I was sitting next to at the time she was my 4-year-old soon to be stepdaughter. And so I was like, kind of like hiding it, but I was like, my God, that looks like a dick.
Right.
Like I just made a really cool, like lime green looking penis. And then I made a pair of tits, and then I made a butt, and I made the butt so anatomically correct. I was like blowing myself away just looking underneath. Like, I don't know where it came from, but there were a few nights before I made the video that I had those made, and they were on this countertop in my kitchen, and I had them lined up, and I couldn't stop staring at them. And I texted my sisters, and I was like, would anybody wear this? And they were like, no, because like my one sister is a lawyer and one's like an engineer, and like
right.
So no, I can't have a penis hanging from my ear. And so I was like, maybe a keychain or something like that, or a pin. And so then I made that video because it was like a trend at the time to say like, tell me you're mentally unstable without telling me you're mentally unstable.
And then you just did a whole thing of
and
your
so
jewelry.
I just did that. And so I posted it at like 9 a.m. and by noon it had reached 1 million views.
Oh, wow.
It was comments like, oh, it started an Etsy shop, like, whatever. So I started an Etsy shop by noon. I was at Michael's like buying more clay and getting everything set up. And I made, I did the math. I made like over 100 sales in the first day. Yeah.
Wow.
It was crazy. And we just like set the inventory to unlimited because we're like, I can just make it all.
Right.
I didn't think that many people were going to place orders.
But you're getting orders all the time now, yeah?
All the time. Yeah. So anyways, Body by Frost is the business.
Uh-huh.
I make mostly earrings and keychains.
Okay.
But I make necklaces, keychains, pins, magnets, earrings, gauged earring parts, as well as shoe decorations that go on Crocs. I can't use the word. Do you know what those things are called? The plugs that go in Crocs?
No, I don't know what they're called.
They're called jib-bits.
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 Okay. Do you know why they're called jib-bits?
No.
Is jib-bits a fun word to say?
Well, it really is fun for my business because I was thinking because people were asking if I could make little tiny clay things for jib-bits to go on Crocs.
Right.
And so I called it jib-bits on my Etsy, and then Crocs sent me an email that was like, you can't use our word.
Okay.
Our that's like trademark.
Right. So can you misspell it like you do with vegetarian stuff?
Yeah. I was going to call them jizz-bits.
Uh-huh.
Or Cox for Crocs.
Okay.
But instead I just went with shoe decorations.
Oh, okay.
So not many people buy them, but it's so much fun.
What about butt plugs?
Oh my God, I can make butt plug earrings.
Right.
Oh, that would be so easy.
Right. Well, I was thinking more
Thank you for the idea.
You're welcome. You're welcome. I have
under creativity.
I have been told that I am creative sometimes. There's also, I think, a distinction when people say creativity versus artistic, right?
Mm-hmm.
Artistic is more about how you utilize skills that you learn, whereas creativity is sort of unknown. It's where it comes from, right? It's sort of spontaneous. And I think that if you're creative, the artistic part can be learned, but the creative part is something that's difficult to learn, right?
Yeah.
Wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
I agree with that. People that try to come up with the ideas for me for my business, like my mom will often give ideas,
right?
And I love them, but they have nothing to do with my general business approach. She could be like, you can make just flowers,
right?
Just
what you're
flowers.
Inspired by is also another one of those things too. It's just kind of it's not what you're passionate about, or doesn't fit your model, right?
Yeah. I guess that wasn't really a good example of the difference between artistic and creativity, but some people just not to sound rude or anything, but I feel like some people just don't have that. They don't have the capacity to come up with lots of different ideas or to be overly creative.
Right.
Some people just kind of go right down the middle and
right.
I don't know.
Do you think it's something that we kind of self-impose? We sort of stifle our own creativity because we want to be normal. And there's sort of an association of if you're creative, there's something different. Right.
Yeah.
I think that might be a reason why people kind of stifle their own creativity is because there's a negative connotation, possibly.
And
I don't know.
Fear of judgment and fear of negative criticism and of not getting the validation that you're seeking and showing other people your art. My sister, she got her bachelor's in printmaking and lithography at U of A.
Yeah.
And my mom and I just moved back in with my parents, so we were cleaning out the closet, and there was so much of her art, and we were going through all the prints to make sure we had an original copy of each one.
Right.
And I was blown away. I had never seen her collection before, only just the ones that would go up in galleries or at showings.
Right.
And it just, I was just holy shit.
Right. And that was, is that something that kind of solidified this idea that you wanted to do that was beyond what you were initially going for college, when you were becoming an educator, right?
I think a lot of people just don't think it's something that you can do as a career.
Well, I mean, your mom did it, right? She's a quilter.
Yeah.
She's a famous, renowned quilter.
Mm-hmm. Helen Young Frost.
Yeah. On the Queen of Quilts or whatever that show was.
Simply Quilts.
Was she on Simply Quilts?
Simply Quilts was a show in the 90s on HGTV. My mom was on it.
Oh.
On one episode.
Okay. On one episode.
Yeah.
And does she still do quilting, or is she at the point now where it's difficult for her to manipulate the things she needs to manipulate for making these quilts?
She's still going strong. It's just the classes have slowed down because of COVID.
Oh, okay. So she teaches. Gotcha.
Yeah. She does like trunk shows, teaches. She will bring her old books back into rotation because she's written so many books over the years, and she'll do trunk shows of them. So like Sweet Dreams is her baby quilt book.
Okay.
And so she'll bring all the baby quilts that she made for the book and then talk about like techniques and tell funny stories and kind of make it this whole performance.
Yeah. This is not a traveling thing, is it?
It is.
Oh, okay. Okay.
My
So that's why you call it a trunk show. Is that kind of the origin? It's like you pack it all up in a trunk and take it on the road kind of thing?
I think so. And she did have a trunk. But my mom in right before COVID, in December of 2019, my mom went on a quilting cruise.
Okay.
And yes, those exist.
All right.
A quilting cruise.
Right. If they've got Disney cruises, they got to have quilting cruises.
Yeah.
They've got cruises for everything.
Yeah, and it's like basically you teach courses on the boat.
Okay.
And so women go, and men, sorry, not to assume, but women mostly go, and I don't know what activities they had on that boat, but I was so relieved that my mom wasn't one of the COVID cruises.
Oh yeah.
Like looking back, I was like, damn, she just barely
barely
escaped that.
Right.
Thank God.
Right. Are there places where quilting is more popular, you think, in the world than others? I mean, is there like a quilting capital of the world, or?
That's such a good question. I know that I'm sure towns where there were.
You don't have to answer that question if your mom's the expert.
Yeah,
right? So.
I mean, I just think looking back though, quilts go so far back.
Oh yeah.
Like, and you can like trace them with like Amish quilts. And in 2013, I went to Ireland with my mom, and this kid that I was nannying. I don't know if you remember the kid that I used to nanny or like travel. I was like a whatever.
Right. You traveled with the
family.
Right.
The family. So they brought me with my mom on this last trip to Ireland to go to the International Quilt Festival of Ireland, and it was so cool.
Right.
I was blown away. They had okay, so Ireland, like rolling green hills. They had made this quilt that was just different shades of green, and like just the way that it was stitched looked like that. It was like 3D, but
it was like almost photorealistic.
It was incredible.
Oh wow!
Quilting is not just this like patchwork traditional thing anymore.
Right.
My mom sticks with traditional like hand applique and like all that.
Right, but it's the methods, right?
Yeah, and there are some like really really cool artistic quilts that are just like it's just art. It's not meant to be worn.
Right,
or used,
or used for your bedspread or whatever.
It's not. It's like as the same as a painting.
Right. Yeah, that's really, and that's something that I think whatever medium you use, be it, fabric, or be it, your plasticized clay or Legos even, you can come up with some really amazing ideas with just, your brain. You were teaching for how many years?
5.
5 years. Was there this stuff where you would teach things about left brain, right brain, and things like that, which is sort of it doesn't really exist. It's not really true that people are left-brained or right-brained. It's just an oversimplification.
As far as my classroom went with sign language, I'm not sure about left brain, right brain, but there would be opportunities for you to get really creative with sign language, like songs.
Oh, yeah.
Because when you sign a song, it's not word for word. ASL and English are not the same language. They're not interchangeable. The grammar is different. And also, ASL is not a universal language. If anybody is wondering, a lot of people say that. It's not. It's American Sign Language. There's British Sign Language, Canadian Sign Language. There's a sign language for almost every country. Not all of them. But and a lot of them are very ASL-like.
Right. Would you say ASL is sort of the gold standard?
American Sign Language was taken from French Sign Language.
Oh, okay.
French. So yeah. So let's see if I can remember this. Okay.
Sorry to bring you back to college here, but
no, it's okay. This is what I would teach my students. Gallaudet went to France he went to France to learn sign language, and he traveled back to America with Laurent Clerc or something. And on the way back, he taught Laurent Clerc how to read English and write English.
Uh-huh.
And in exchange, he taught him French Sign Language.
Okay.
And so then maybe it's not Gallaudet. I don't know. And then so ours are really similar.
Right.
So like the numbers are this very, very close, but the grammar is a little bit different, obviously.
Right.
So,
The sentence structure, does it mimic what the sentence structure is in the country? Like, you know how some countries have the verbs and things beforehand and things like that. Is that what happens?
Not for American Sign Language. In American Sign Language, time goes first. So instead of like, what are you doing tomorrow? Say tomorrow, what are you doing?
Gotcha.
So it's pretty different.
Yeah. Interesting.
But with interpreting songs,
where that could be problematic,
right? Because, like, for instance, I teach my students the Pledge of Allegiance, and there's not a sign for allegiance. There's not a sign for what's another weird word on there? To the republic for which it stands. Right. Or yeah, exactly. It's like, what do these words mean, and what did they mean then?
Right.
So instead of printing out the lyrics and being like, okay, what's the sign for this word and this word and this word? You have to read the line or a few lines and be like, what do they mean from this? So there's always this one interpreting the song interpretation on YouTube, and she does that Adele song Hello. And say hello from the other side.
Right.
And she does this sign, which this is just like a different perspective. Like, so this is person eyes, and it's like hello from the other side, from another perspective. And it's just like, sometimes I'll watch the videos and understand the English lyrics better.
Right. The song more, because they read into it in a different sort of way. And give it to me in
a visual way, too, which, like, for visual learners, it's like...
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
That there is sort of a context that is gained from that. That's fascinating to me. And you were also teaching me about how we refer to those who have issues with their hearing. And I mistakenly said hearing impaired, and you corrected me, and you said that we don't say that. We say
hard of hearing.
Hard of hearing.
So a deaf, hard of hearing.
Deaf is okay to say?
Mm-hmm, of course.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And, whether somebody is deaf with a capital D, meaning like culturally deaf and proud, speaks American Sign Language typically, or there's lowercase d deaf, where people are clinically deaf. They might have a cochlear implant or hearing aid, might have had speech therapy. These are all possible possibilities. Everybody's different. But saying somebody's deaf is not offensive, nor is hard of hearing. And sometimes people will refer to themselves as hearing impaired if they don't see being deaf as like a part of their identity.
Right.
Then it's sure.
Okay.
But for the deaf community, the word impaired implies broken.
Right.
So it's like, there's nothing wrong with me.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm deaf.
Exactly.
And deal with it.
Right. Right. I don't know if you tuned into the show that I did on ability with Andrew, but there was some talk about using some sort of identifier, like as identifying himself as autistic, like as a part of, sort of not really pronouns, but in a certain way. Is there that with the deaf community? Do they have that?
Everybody goes through life differently, but some deaf people would have a pen, or they would just write it on a piece of paper, or on their phone. But in terms of being like deaf and proud, the deaf community is very, very proud, very, very vibrant, and lots of conviction. They're just very like, because when you think about it, some of the things that we have accessible to us just for being hearing people, deaf people have to fight so hard to get.
Oh yeah.
Like Delta airplanes don't have closed captioning on any of their TVs, so deaf people just have to sit on the plane.
Yeah, and here
entertain themselves another way.
And here's another thing, as far as those types of things in games. Video games are not built for all people, and they have things for people with vision issues and people with. They've got sort of accessibility options that are becoming far more robust than they have been in history.
Yeah.
Which is really amazing. Video games and having fun and enjoying that shouldn't be just limited, to a certain group of people. It should be available to anyone.
Yeah.
And Also, Xbox, Microsoft's doing interesting work with customized controllers for people who can't, manipulate controllers in a certain way. And I've got to think the same would hold true for something like sounds in a game. The sounds in a game will tell you where something is coming from, right? And how do you adapt that in a way for someone who is deaf?
Right.
The whole left brain, right brain concept that I was going to get into, which is a fallacy, is basically that there are certain groups of people that they use the one side of their brain more than the other, and that makes them either analytical or creative. And, they say that if you're left brain, it's analytical, and if you're right brain, you're creative. And there is no scientific proof that shows that we are all
our brain.
We are all brained. Right. Yeah. That's what it is. That's just an oversimplification. Freud had this sort of theory with people who have obsessive compulsive disorder, but he called them anal retentive. And what is that? A child is born, and at certain ages, they are in a phase. They're their oral phase when they are between the ages of 0 and 1, anal when they're between the ages of 1 and 3, and then phallic 3 to 6. And if something happens to disrupt that cycle for whatever reason, that their behavior, and this is all completely false.
Right.
Right. It's one of those things like the left brain, right brain thing where people basically treat it almost like it's fact because it's a simplification. People still use the word anal retentive to refer to someone who has obsessive compulsive disorder, which is completely wrong, in my opinion. Thoughts?
Is it offensive?
Well, anal? I mean, I don't know. Someone who calls himself anal, I guess, it could refer to anal retentive like being neat and clean, which is what they usually, if you say, but some people who say anal these days, all too frequently, are referring to something of the sexual nature.
Right.
There's no overlap there.
Yeah. I would say it just for giggles, but if it is in any way offensive to people with OCD,
right.
I don't want to use that word anymore.
Yeah.
Because I was diagnosed with having OCD in college, although I don't think that diagnosis, people can be wrong. I would be offended if it was like a part of my life that I was struggling with.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's like anything where we're trying to study something so complex as the brain. It's like we don't know everything, and that's fine. That's fine. We can have theories, but we still need to do research and prove things, and even then, we don't know a lot about what goes on with the electrical signals of the brain and what makes people creative and what makes people less creative, right?
You could even say that it could be, like your birth chart, your astrological birth chart.
Okay.
Like I got this book called, I forget.
Okay. That seems like an interesting astrology book title.
You Were Born for This, I think. It's what it's called. You Were Born for This.
Okay.
And it was showing it was like Frida Kahlo has this birth chart. These are Frida Kahlo's top 3 or big 3, Sun, Moon, Rising, and like other well-known people for either their art or for like scientists and things like that, all of their birth charts, so that you can be like, oh,
you can
I have
do
the
comparisons.
Same, yeah.
Oh.
So it could be that.
So that would be based on the location of the planets. I've dabbled in some of that just because it's interesting to me. I don't think I hold a ton of stock in how it's valid or applies. But I do think there's something to be said for the way the planets are aligned. It impacts tides, right? It impacts things on this earth, various, gravitational things. Things are impacted. Why wouldn't it be? Why wouldn't it be the same?
We wouldn't be impacted.
Right, exactly. So, I don't know, and that's the thing. How do you collect data on this stuff? It's very difficult to basically, other than just interview people and see how they turned out or whatever.
It's comforting though.
It is.
Yeah.
It's an interesting sort of thing.
Because you could read those, like I read mine, and the comparison or the descriptions of what a Cancer sun and a Leo moon and a Leo rising.
Right.
It's me.
Right. Some people will say, they try and just without even looking into it, they go, oh, well, they're generalizing this and they're doing that. And it's like, maybe. I mean, I don't see what point that has, other than, it's like, well, do you know? Have you read all of the astrology books? I don't think you have.
Right.
I think you're just making a very simple sort of judgment based on the limited knowledge you have. I think there's less of that needs to happen in this world. I think we need to open ourselves up for other people's, what they think and listen to them.
I agree.
Yeah.
Something that I was thinking about, the need to be creative versus the opportunity to be creative is something that I'm struggling with all the time.
All right.
Because like the need, I have to work. People placed orders. They're waiting. Mm-hmm. They want me to be creative, so I need to be.
Right.
Which this is not a horrible thing to be complaining about, but when my creativity tank is empty for whatever reason, or if I'm just not feeling motivated because a human being feels things, it can be really hard.
Yeah.
To force myself. And the opportunity where it's just like, I'm going to draw something.
Right.
Or, just like, oh, I have a free afternoon. I'm going to go to the park and paint.
Right.
Stuff like that.
Yeah. That would be one of those things where we're talking creative versus artistic. Artistic is the ability to take something that someone says and make it into something that like based on the skills, right? Mm-hmm. They say they want this thing and then you make it this thing. However, creativity is coming up with the new idea, the next great thing, the thing that is inspiration like I want to think of something, a unique spin on this thing, right?
Yeah.
Is that what you think?
Yeah, and really, I've never made two identical things.
Yeah.
And that's mind-blowing because, like, looking through my phone, through my pictures, it's all my earrings. It's all things, and I'll go back 3 weeks and be like, I don't remember even... that was just one afternoon that I made this really cool thing, and... it's like it's going by so fast that I'm forgetting all the things that I've done.
Right.
So I have to remind myself to appreciate the work that I'm doing. Sometimes I will finish a pair and not even take a picture of it before I ship it.
Right.
It's like I have to be documenting this. I have to be saving everything.
I think it's in your best interest from an artistic standpoint too, because one, you're looking at what you've done, your body of work. And if you can observe something that it's like, oh yeah, I like the way I did the eggplant top in that. I think I'm going to use, you know what I mean? Like you can trigger some memories that will say, okay, this is a better way to do it.
Right.
And when you try something new and you're trying to experiment as you're making these things that are kind of standard. That's one of the great things about what you're doing is you have the opportunity to do this custom for everyone. So you can basically, it's a piece of art that's not just a reproduction every time you make a pair of those, right?
Yeah, every single pair is different.
Time. Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes people will request things that I've already made, but it'll never be identical.
Right. Right. You put your own twist on it.
Yeah. Because of flaws it's crazy. This has been a whirlwind.
Well, I'm very happy for you that you found this. And
Thanks.
It's like, it seems like also based on what you're talking about, you come from a long line of creative folks, of artistic folks too, like your parents and or your mom at least. Does your dad do anything as far as artistic stuff? Does he paint or do music or?
No. Oh my gosh. Does he do any? Well, he draws sometimes, but he's the worst. It's so funny. Do you know the game Telestrations?
No, is it kind of like a Pictionary sort of thing?
It's like telephone, where you whisper into somebody's ear and by the time it gets around, it's like that, but for drawing pictures. And so everybody has like a dry erase booklet. Everybody gets a word.
Okay.
They write it at the top and pass it. And then the next person looks at the word, flips it and draws a picture and then passes it. And the next person gets the picture. And my dad was always the one, as then we all get our books back and we're flipping through. My dad's is always where it gets stopped and then nobody
knows.
He has this, I'll send you a picture, or it might actually be on my phone. My dad drew a shrimp.
Okay.
And it was a bumblebee. He drew a bumblebee that had teeth but didn't have any stripes.
Okay.
So how are we supposed to know it was a bumblebee?
Right.
Because it had teeth.
Right.
No stripes. Shoes
Oh, okay. Bumblebees. They like a casual pump with a modest heel.
And then on our fridge, there's a picture of a drawing of a shrimp, and it again has a smiley face.
Right.
Oh, it's so funny. My dad is just, and he knows that he's bad. He just does really crude, just like rough lines and simple.
Right. But does he do it knowing that it's funny?
Yes.
Does he do it for humor purposes?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, he did one maybe like in middle school. It's like, Rachie, I'm gonna draw your portrait, okay? So just you sit there, just keep watching the movie. I'm gonna draw your portrait.
Okay.
I'm like, okay. And like a lot of time goes by and I'm not really paying attention, but my dad will be like, hold still. I'm like, oh, he's still going. My God.
Right.
Okay. And then at the very end, like end of the movie, he shows it to me and it's just like a stick figure. Like,
sounds like your dad has an excellent sense of humor, actually. A good sense of humor. Creativity is involved in that too. People who are creative in different ways, and I think that people generally associate being creative with art. That's not the case.
Yeah.
You can be creative in other ways, and your dad doing a wonderful thing where he drew a stick figure and made you sit for an hour and a half is hilarious.
Yeah. And along with sense of humor, just to piggyback off of that, pranks.
Oh, he's a prankster.
Old Tom is a prankster.
Yeah.
And some of them were just malicious. They're not funny to anybody. Like he put mouse traps everywhere, under my pillows, in my shoes, in the back seat when he picked up my brother's friends.
Whoopee cushions? Is that too pedestrian for him?
He would put the whoopies on the couch.
Hand buzzer.
Yeah, he does have an electric pen. He had this really realistic looking rubber snake, and he got like fishing wire, and like where his chair is in the living room is right by the front door, so you could see people. My mom's Mormon, so we get Mormon missionaries coming over, home teachers coming over, and my dad would just like pull on the string real quick, and people would just lose it. It was so funny. But then when it would happen to us, it wasn't
as funny.
One time my dad there was a few days my brother and I were like, there's something weird smelling in this house. Something smells weird. And I was like, I smell it too. It's like this weird fishy smell.
Okay.
And I can't figure out what it is. And Paul and I, just a couple of days, were like, God, I keep smelling that. What is it? And then I don't know how, but we figured out it was on our hands. We're like, we smell it on our fingers. What have we been touching recently? We couldn't figure it out. And so Paul, for days, are trying to figure out what it is.
Okay.
And it's some substance on all the doorknobs.
Oh.
My dad put fish sauce.
Stinky stuff on the doorknobs.
Like fish oil or fish sauce on all the doorknobs.
Did you ask him?
Yes.
Okay, and he said fish sauce?
We said, Dad, what did you put on it? And he just real quiet, fish sauce.
Was it like, did he say it in such a way because he was caught? Or did he say it that way just to be funny?
It took us that long.
Okay, so he's just kind of disappointed. He was like, oh, man.
Yeah.
You needed
He's a prankster, very creative prankster.
You needed to take that and send it to the lab. They would have been able to tell you.
God. Why would he do that, though? To his wife, too.
Yeah. I mean, have you talked to your mom? Maybe she appreciates that. Maybe she appreciates that sense of humor on some level.
No?
Not at all?
The harmless pranks were fine.
Right. I'm very thankful that my father didn't play any pranks on me when I was on his children, right?
Yeah.
But he and my mom, there was reports in the news saying that there were presents, like Christmas presents, people getting robbed at gunpoint and Christmas presents being stolen and things like that. So what they did was they lived in this high rise, and they got the stinkiest garbage they could possibly get their hands on, like scraps and manure and like whatever, right? And they got it all into a box and wrapped it up like the nicest paper, really fancy job, nice bow, and then went down and just left it in the alley. And that was what they did.
That's great.
I think those pranks, those are fun.
I like those. I did that to my next door neighbor when I was living in Phoenix.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he stole an Amazon package, and he had done it before. I very much suspected this guy, and we got a camera. And so
Oh.
after he stole the package, we got a camera.
Right.
We installed the camera, put a decoy package on our front porch full of garbage with a note that said, "Hey, asshole, stop stealing our packages. You're on camera. Enjoy your trash."
Right.
And then in the footage, you see him take the package, walk away. And he's my next door neighbor. So you just go like in front of our houses to cut across.
Right.
And 5 minutes later, brought back the air fryer that he stole. And he stole 2 packages.
Well,
he put them both back. So it's like, so now you know that I know that you know that I know.
But I mean, he did the right thing after all. I mean, he returned the packages. What's the deal with light bulbs? Sorry. Yeah, light bulbs. Isn't that a symbol for creativity?
Oh, or idea.
It's an idea. You don't think it's a symbol for creativity?
I guess it can be.
Okay. Because ideas, yeah, I mean, I think there's some overlap there. Is there a difference between being creative and just saying weird random shit?
Yes, there is a difference.
Okay.
Because sometimes people say weird shit just to get a rise out of other people.
Okay. So
like they'll just say things, you know, people that are always on, like
Right.
always has to have something witty to say back, or like, you know, sometimes people just say weird shit and it's just like, stop.
So you think that's more of a scientific thing, right? They want to test people to see what their response will be when they say something weird.
Yeah.
So it's not actually, well, I mean, even coming up with the weird stuff to say. Like when I used to, oh geez.
Where is this going?
Yeah, one of my lines when I was younger, and I'm not proud of this.
Zoinkers.
Yeah.
Was that what it was?
No, it wasn't. It wasn't that.
Oh.
I would test people. I didn't like to associate or date or go out with people who were squeamish about certain, like, you know, like sense of humor sort of thing. I've got a very unique and dry sort of sense of humor. So what I would do at some sort of romantic point during the evening or whatever, like if it was a first date, I would say, has anyone ever told you that you're gentle and warm like the afterbirth of a newborn calf?
Oh my God. Why would you say that?
Just to see, I mean, if they thought it was wacky and funny, they would laugh. And if they were offended, that was kind of the response. I mean, if you didn't understand what I was saying, it's sort of.
I think that if you said that to me, just like in a serious, like no preface or anything, you just said that, I would laugh.
Okay.
I laughed.
All right.
That's funny.
Let me do another thing that I
Okay.
just say that's kind of a random sort of thing. Like, you know how people say, "Oh, I like my women like I like my coffee."
Yes.
Right. What I usually say is, I like my women like I like my coffee, and they go, "Oh, strong," or oh, blah, yeah. And I say, served in a paper cup.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
I like that. Or I like my men like I like my coffee ground up and in my freezer.
Yeah, ground up and in my freezer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you come up with that at Starbucks?
I think my sister told it to me.
Okay.
And yeah, I mean, I like that.
Is she a stand-up comedian?
My sister? No, she's just weird. She's just into weird shit. This is all the same sister, Sarah, the printmaker, lithographer.
Yeah. Yeah. And is that what she does now?
No, she's a lawyer. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's
working some of the toughest cases.
I can see the through line there.
Yeah.
I can see the through line.
Sarah's iPad password is butts.
Okay.
Buttz.
Yeah.
And it's her like lawyer iPad. And she was like, one time I unlocked my iPad and looked over my shoulder and I saw somebody that like clearly saw me type that in.
Right.
Like, butts.
Right. And it's like, okay, well,
It's so funny.
what are you looking at? I'm going to change it to cock next. Oh, anyway, I was going to talk about light bulbs because they're the symbol of a thought that is an idea, which is also one of those things. An idea, is it creative? Yeah. I mean, I would say it has the potential to be. Did you know who invented the light bulb? Everyone gives credit to a certain person. People say Thomas Edison, right?
Oh, did you see me mouth Benjamin Franklin?
No, I didn't. We got a lot of Franklin followers out there.
Franklin fans.
Franklin fans. The Wiggies, we call them. I don't know. The Wiggies. So, them damn Wiggies and their Ben Franklin.
So itchy.
Yeah, they got keys on their kites. They got keys on everything. You drive around in rainstorms and shit.
Fucking losers.
I tell you. But anyway, there is a Warren de la Rue patented the first coiled magnesium element. He's basically the one who started working on these things. And actually, when we get to 1950, there are other patents that were filed to basically get into what Edison finally did for his light bulb. These scientists did all the hard work with magnesium, but they couldn't get their idea for mass producing the light bulb, or commercial use of a light bulb, off the ground. So what they ended up doing was selling all the patents to Thomas Edison, and he basically made it cheaper. But he's the one we think of when we think of the light bulb, not Henry Woodward or Matthew Evans, who were the ones who basically sold the patents to Thomas Edison, I believe in 1874. Forgot to also mention that John Wilson Swan was the one who basically made a really amazing, short-lasting but very bright light bulb that didn't really have any commercial use, but it was very, very bright. Innovation versus creativity. Difference. I think it's I hate to go back to the whole artistic versus creativity thing, but I think that's it's one of those things where innovation and creative thinking and things like that are for a purpose, right?
Yes.
And so, which doesn't denote always creativity.
But I think, yeah.
It's a part.
Yes. Like, for example, I had to get creative when making my banana penis earrings.
Okay.
They look like bananas peeling down, and the banana's a penis. It's
right,
adorable.
right. No, I saw those. I thought those were really cool.
And I figured out a tool. I did my tool in a weird way so that it made a certain step in making my banana penis earrings really easy.
Right.
Not only innovative, but also a creative
way
to figure it out.
Solution. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
For doing something creative like making penis banana earrings.
It's kind of a meta.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're being creative while you're being creative.
Yeah. So it is like to be innovative. It is to be creative, but yeah, for serving a purpose to like make something easier perhaps, or like.
Right. Coming up with a creative solution is.
Right.
Yeah. That's cool. Yeah. You got to always be innovating to keep, well, I mean, it's also, there's a satisfaction with also doing that. It's not like you're going to sell your banana penis tool to everyone. It's just a technique you've developed.
Yeah.
You know, like,
and I'm not about to gatekeep and keep things from other people.
Yeah,
if somebody wants to try it themselves, they're more than welcome to.
Right.
Can't sell them.
Yeah. And it's like, maybe you'll have these, like the quilting classes or quilting cruises. Maybe you'll have a cruise where you're making penis earrings. That would be pretty cool.
That would be pretty cool.
Wow. Creative thinking, creative writing. You know, we didn't even get into creative writing, but what is creative writing? You were a school teacher. You associated with other school teachers. Think back to when you were in high school, too.
I just did the bare minimum.
And just in general in high school?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Flew under the radar.
Right.
Got my C average. B's, C's.
I enjoyed creative writing because I could just write all the weird shit that I couldn't write when I was writing my papers for other, like English classes.
I liked the idea of it. I would like to do that now. I think when I was in high school, I was lazy.
Okay.
I was lazy. I didn't want to do the work unless I absolutely had to.
Right. Where your focus is on other things.
I just was distracted. What it is was I had ADHD and I wasn't being treated for it.
Right. Okay.
Now I understand. Because my mom was always like, well, she's a visual learner. I got tested for having a learning disability. I don't know how that didn't ever come up, but we didn't ever have health insurance growing up. So maybe that's why.
Right. Probably.
But when I was in college, I finally got tested and they were like, oh, yeah. You have ADHD. Okay. So looking back, I think I didn't have anybody really pushing me. My parents just I just did what I did.
Right.
I wasn't failing. But
I also remember you were always kind of trying to do and experience new things, like with the play that you did, with the feminist play.
Vagina Monologues.
Yeah. But it was like something you'd never done before, right?
Yeah. That was like, I wanted to make friends. I had just transferred from Pima. And I can't even remember how, I think I saw a flyer and was like, this is just like in the movies. Pull a tab off the flyer.
Right.
Call the person.
Right. I'm going to make it in Hollywood.
Yeah, but in the auditions for the Vagina Monologues, depending on what part you got, you had part of the audition was faking an orgasm.
Oh.
And I
you
just refused.
Oh, okay.
I said, no, thank you. So they made me the MC, which was perfect.
Right, because you don't have to fake the orgasm.
I was like, I'd rather not. I'm a bit of a prude.
Right.
Not now. I drew dicks all over my paper.
Right. Well, I mean, there's, one thing doesn't denote the other, right? I mean, just because you writing dicks all over or making 3-dimensional.
I'm like Seth from Superbad. Did you watch that movie?
Is that where he draws dicks all over?
Stop.
Yeah. Yeah.
A lot of people commented that on the beginning, like giving me Seth vibes.
Right.
Okay, video games.
Did you have any kids who liked video games in your class that talked about these things like Fortnite and?
Oh my gosh, my stepson is obsessed with Fortnite.
Oh yeah.
And GTA.
Oh yeah.
A little bit different.
Yeah. Do you talk to him about nailing the hookers and whatnot?
I said, you know what I used to do when I played this? I would just pick up sex workers and kill them for their money.
Right.
And you would see the van shaking.
Right. And then he said, oh, that's cool. And
he's like, I'm not allowed to do that.
Rachel?
He's like, my dad said I can't do that.
Really?
Yeah, he's not allowed to do that. He's 13.
They're like, well, no. What I'm saying is there's an age control. Like, you can stop that, like, with an age control. Like, you can stop people from doing that? Or is it just like, it's not like he's going to do it in real life.
I think either he changed it in the settings or there's just an honor policy.
Okay. And it sounds like he's a good kid. It sounds like
he's great.
He's a good kid. And he's like, Dad told me not to.
Yeah.
not to stab the hookers, so I guess I won't stab the
like
hookers. I mean, he said I can run over them with the van. That's fine, but I just can't stab them.
I can't invite them into my van under the
false pretenses, right?
False pretenses.
Yeah.
So
he's going to be the good kid. That one, I can tell.
We'll see.
Yeah. So you were talking about The Sims as something that was something that allowed you to be creative, or was it something that you just enjoyed the game?
We had to be in creative mode for a while building the houses for The Sims.
Yeah.
And if anybody knew the cheat, it was me to get infinite money.
Right.
So I wouldn't, instead of making them get jobs, I would just do the mother load, cheat, and get all the money and then build them this giant mansion.
Right.
And that's where I got really creative because I would design the rooms based on how many kids I wanted them to have.
Okay.
And then I would just kind of like the 100
baby challenge. Yeah, the 100
it was
baby
like
challenge.
that.
Yeah.
But when I was 14.
Right. Were you just testing the program, or was it something where you did the cheat just so you could, explore with designing the houses or things like that? I mean, what was the reason why you decided that was something you wanted to do?
Because I like to control people.
Okay.
I don't know. But when I first got the game, I truly just played it as I should have. I had them get a job.
Right.
It seemed really, really annoying. Because it's like, first of all, we get on here kind of broke, can't buy a house, but somehow we have to have a job. And then what are we playing when I'm just waiting for you to get home from work?
Right.
So, I did that for a while. And then I found out the cheats.
Right.
And then that's when I really got
went to town.
I got addicted to it. I remember one time it was a weekend or something, and I was like, I'm just gonna play for a couple of hours, and then I'm gonna do my homework.
Right.
And then next thing I knew, it was nighttime.
Right.
I had just been playing it all day.
So what? How many hours do you think? Estimate.
Probably my max, probably 6 hours.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing. I know that there are people out there who can play games for long periods of time, but you know what? Just a couple hours for me is all I can take.
Yeah.
Usually nothing grabs me to the point where I have to play it like that.
Yeah. Now I don't play any video games. No.
Is that a choice, or is it something that
I have no interest in it?
Okay.
I mean, I've got games on my phone. I've got wordscapes.
Right. Things like that. Just like little casual games.
Yeah. I don't have time.
Mm-hmm.
And
so
it's just, I grew out of that.
Yeah.
Not that growing out of it is a sign of anything, but
right.
I'm not saying that you're immature if you play video games,
right.
but I just I stopped caring.
Do you remember Jen,
Mm-hmm.
the manager?
Mm-hmm.
And she, one day we were working and I was talking about some video game that I was playing, and then she goes, "What are you, 12?" And she is like, I don't know, 10, 15 years younger than I am. I was like, no, the games are fun. You like doing, I mean, it's like,
Yeah.
and then later on, I think she actually backed down on that when she started playing some sort of game at one point, and was like, okay, well, I take that back about that. But I was going to tell you the story, my Sims story about Michaela, when Michaela and I started dating back in the 2004-ish area, when Bash was a wee little kitty before he became old. He's listening, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. Turn his head when I say
I'm not old.
When I say Bash, does he look at me?
He's slow blinked back at you.
He's slow blinked. She was kind of a gamer, but not like more of I would say a fair weather gamer. I mean, she liked to play some games, but it wasn't like it was something that she enjoyed immensely. It was something that she would enjoy playing in the moment, but then she could very easily just not play it, right? And over the period of us dating, her games, she didn't really play a ton of games, but I remember when we were living together, I gave her The Sims, thinking that she'd really like it, that she'd enjoy doing the Sim stuff, and then she really enjoyed the base Sims, so I got her the latest one. And she made simulations of us in the game, which is always bad news. Bad news. You don't want to do that. But everyone does.
Personal names.
Right. Yeah. You use our names and stuff. And so, a couple weeks go by. One day in the morning, I'm getting up for work, and she is pissed. She is so angry at me, right? And I'm like, what's wrong? What did I do? And she says, well, I died, and then you cried for like 2 seconds, and then you went and played video games. I was like, sorry to tell you, Michaela, that is exactly what's going to happen. I'm sorry. I hate to break it to you. That is what's going to happen.
Foreshadowing.
So, exactly. So I was like, whoa, that's an accurate simulation. Do you think like problem solving and creative problem solving, do you think that in games is something that's useful for students, even if it's just a game?
Yeah, I think so.
You know?
I mean, I honestly think, I don't know if this would be considered a video game, but when I had my Nintendo DS, when I was like 16, 17, I had Brain Age.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
And it made me so good at math.
Right.
I was fast. I was so fast at doing basic like addition and subtraction and division and multiplication. Stuff that like now I pull out my calculator an embarrassing amount of times for basic math, or I ask Google. I'm ashamed to admit it. So I think that, I don't know if they're educational video games or,
There are things that they make you, they help you with things.
And
it's like training simulators
Mavis
and stuff.
Beacon teaches typing.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my gosh. That's so friggin' old school.
There's a reason why I type 90 words a minute.
Yeah. It's all...
Two words. Mavis Beacon.
The Sega made this game called Typing of the Dead, which was like they had
Walking Dead.
Yeah, well, it was a shooting zombie game that they
like
had,
Dawn of the Dead.
Yeah. But it was I think it was House of the Dead. It was the series, right? And it was Typing of the Dead, and you bought a keyboard for the Dreamcast there, and you could plug it in, and it was just zombies approaching you.
I love
and instead of a gun, you would type a word to destroy them before they reached you. So, yeah. And there were a couple of other games like that. There was Typer Shark, which was this game by PopCap. PopCap made the Bejeweled series, and they made the Plants vs. Zombies and Zuma and other games like that. But before All Popular and EA purchased them, they were making games like Typer Shark. And that was like one same thing where it's like you get attacked by a shark if you don't type it. So, yeah.
I remember those games. They were like very intense for me.
Yeah.
I really leaned into it. I got real good at typing.
Yeah. Have you ever heard of Portal?
Mm-mm.
Portal is a cool problem-solving puzzle type game where you have a portal gun and you can basically specify where the exit point and the entrance point of any portal is. So you can shoot a portal over there underneath an object and have it fall in and then come out the portal. And then there's also things like you could send things through. It's a space kind of puzzle where you're trying to figure out how to get objects over somewhere or solve a certain puzzle based on where you place these objects. Portal and Portal 2 are these games that, a lot of people really love those games just for the puzzle solving. And there's sort of an action element to it, but it's more about the trying to escape from Gladys, which is this evil computer that promises you a party and cake at the end.
Woo!
Yeah. And it's the cake is a lie. As you kind of get up and up into the levels while you're escaping, you find out someone has scrawled on the walls.
Oh my God.
The cake is a lie. And you have this thing called a companion cube, which is just a cube with a heart on it. It's like it's got really funny parts in it. It's just a creative, fun puzzle game. When you're talking about game dynamics, there are a lot of really creative things. And I don't want to go too long on this just because you're not a gamer, but you can chime in if you've ever done something like do you remember any of the rhythm games? Did you ever play Dance Dance Revolution at the arcade?
Just DDR.
Yeah. Were you a fan?
Well, it was fun. Yes, it was really fun. I was a fan of it. I got the DDR mat that you can play it at home.
Right.
I got it for my friend. We all pitched in. It was so expensive. It was like $50.
Right.
So us in high school, that was a lot of money.
Right.
I got it for my friend Paige, and then that week she tore her knee doing something, so she just never played it.
Never used it.
Yeah. Oh man. But yeah, I did like playing that. I got it's not about dancing at that point for me. It's just stepping on the things and looking like an idiot doing it because I'm so focused.
Well, right. And it's like that's kind of the way Rock Band is and other things. Have you ever played Rock Band?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah. And I think rhythm games are something where it was a creative way. The first rhythm game that's given credit as a rhythm game is this game called Parappa the Rapper. Parappa the Rapper doesn't rhyme. Why would you say it rhymes? It was a game. It was in the arcade. It was basically a rhythm game where you had to match up certain movements, and you were engaging in a rap battle. That's what it was. And it was like this little dog looking, cute little Japanimation dog and everything.
Oh, cute.
Yeah. And it had a cast of characters. It was really cool. Aww. But pretty much everyone says that that's where rhythm games came from. And I would challenge that only in one way, and that is if you're talking about matching a sound cue with a movement. I think there's something to be said for some of these Laserdisc games that we had back in the 80s, where it was, I don't know if you know the game Dragon's Lair or Space Ace, but it was basically a cartoon drawn by the guy who did The Rats of Nim. This guy, Don Bluth, did all the animation for this game, Dragon's Lair. And what would happen in the game, and it was really high tech back then, was you'd be walking in it's like a cartoon that's walking forward, and it would show where you would need to either, pull the joystick left, right, up, down, or press the button for the sword. And it was a rhythm thing where if you didn't get it just right, you were going to get the death sequence or whatever. A lot of those Laserdisc games of the early days can be cited as sort of a creative rhythm game, essentially, even though technically it's not like something like Prep or Dance Dance Revolution or Rock Band or anything. So
yeah.
My last game thing, before I ask you, a non-gamer, a gamer question. Did you ever hear the game Katamari Damacy?
No.
Okay. It is one of the most creative games I think I've ever played as far as story and basically what you're supposed to do. Spoiler alert. The story is you are the prince of the universe, and your parents, the king and the queen of the universe, got drunk. And what happened when they got drunk is they accidentally destroyed the universe. So what they did was they sent you to the last remaining planet, which is Earth, with this ball, and you're supposed to roll up objects into this ball so they can make it into a star. It's got some puzzle elements, like you've got to, in the environment, you got to roll up the smaller things before you roll up the larger things, and they're hidden objects in places, and then once the ball gets larger and larger, you can get larger and larger objects, and the thing, it increases in size, and so on and so forth. And that was one of those things where that was like, where the heck did that come from? It's
yeah,
like,
and the ideas and like that's talk about creative people that come up with these ideas for some. Like my fiance really was into Destiny. This is what I was going to bring up. Have you played that before?
Yeah.
So going all the way back to talking about deaf people, there was like some mission in Destiny, and everybody was racing to complete the mission, and the first group to finish this mission was a deaf group.
Okay.
And they, the settings, you can change settings for people who are hard of hearing so that it's more visual cues of when somebody's surrounding you.
Oh, okay.
And it can be, you can use that to your advantage.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
So I just thought that was really interesting that the first group won, and potentially because they were looking at the visual cues and not like focusing on what, you obviously can't hear what's going on. And I'm sure for a lot of people, a lot of hearing people, noise is just a distraction at some point.
Right. And and you have a tendency to ignore that, right? There are certain like background noises and things that you can ignore, and your brain just turns them off. Whereas visual cues are more obvious, especially in an environment like that where you're focused on a screen. Right. Yeah, I can see that's very interesting.
But the game itself is beautiful.
Oh yeah.
The visuals and everything. It's just that the creators behind it.
Bungie, the creators behind it, makers of Halo, the original Halo. Okay. Halo was then passed off to another company. Then they moved on and said we're going to make our own. We're going to make our own massively multiplayer game. The first version of Destiny was a little shaky, but then I hear Destiny 2 was just absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me close the show. We did talk a little bit about your teaching experience. You had some conversations with your students about games as a part of being a teacher, a high school teacher.
Yeah. The only thing I used video games for with my students was to connect with them. So talking about Destiny to the students that I knew also played Destiny.
Okay.
Talking about Fortnite to the students that I knew played Fortnite.
Right.
But very much being like, tell me why you like it, because I don't know anything about it. I just know about it. That's all.
Right.
The first memory when you asked, I had a student that was obsessed with playing Minecraft on his phone.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, Connor, put your phone away. The phones belong in these pockets by the front door.
Right.
Put your phone away. And he's like, I'm trying to dig myself out. And he was so stressed out. Like, it is 7 a.m.
Right.
Put your fucking phone away.
Right.
I didn't say fucking, but it was just like, that's not real. You're not real. You're
right.
Not real.
Well, on last week's show, someone had to explain to me the whole thing about Minecraft is there's an end goal that you're supposed to like kind of do, but what you're doing is you're going on this adventure and you're mining stuff, and I've never played Minecraft. I always thought it was just Legos. That's what my thought was. It was, did you make things? But you can die. You can fall into a pit of lava, or you can do something, and then you lose your map. And if you lose your map, you're fucked unless you have everything memorized. Yeah. Now, with that knowledge, I can say that that's probably the reason why he didn't want to lose his map.
Yeah.
Was his problem.
Okay.
Amongst
fine.
anything else.
I guess I'll contact him and apologize.
I apologize for your cartography.
For asking you to not play video games in my class.
Which is what most teachers do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Back in my day, it wasn't fiddle with stuff.
But I did get the best videos of myself when that wasn't an enforced rule in my classroom, having the phones by the door.
Oh, yeah?
As soon as the pockets went up, all the funny videos were gone.
Yeah. Is that something that was a decision that was made by
me because the phones were a big deal. For sign language, I need to see your eyes, and if your eyes aren't on me, what are they on?
So that wasn't a school-wide policy; it was a you policy.
I think later it did become school-wide. I think everybody was going to start doing that.
Right.
It's a great, say I'm taking attendance with the phones. If you don't want to be marked as present, then keep your phone.
Right. Oh yeah, no, that's
make it their choice.
Seriously, that's very cool.
Kids would put it in the pocket and then be like, "I'm waiting for a really important call. Do you mind if I just put it in your back pocket? Just don't, show me that I can trust you with this kind of thing, and then you can have it out of the pocket, on occasion." So I don't have to deal with that now.
Right. They say that they're expecting a very important call, and they're in high school. Is that something I should laugh about? Because that's something I think is funny.
Like from their parents or something.
Well, but still, I mean, what is so important? I mean, like when we went to school, back in my day. So when we went to school, that was not something that happened. You went to school. Your time was school. Period. End of sentence. You focus on that. No other thing else other than, your extracurriculars and you're interacting with your other students and things like that. And you got into some mischief here and there.
Mm-hmm. But that's the thing. Kids that have extracurriculars and like sports and stuff, they are busy.
Right.
I never realized how, maybe because I just kind of aimed low, didn't really try that hard. But very high achieving students that are in all kinds of clubs and sports and student council activities, they are so busy. On top of having 7 classes a day, also do all these things. It's like, that's a full-time job. And then they have part-time jobs.
Right.
Some kids would just come in and just sleep, and I would just let them sleep, because if you're that tired, that you would like fall asleep in front of a bunch of people, I don't know.
I did that in geometry class once.
I'm always afraid because I fart in my sleep.
Oh, yeah. I just did it. I didn't know I was doing it. He was giving a lecture, and this guy had this droning tone. That's like everything was just. He was just like, the parallelogram is this, and then we take this over here, and then I fall asleep, and then the whole class, I'm in the front, right? And the whole class is like, Ben, wake up, Ben. And then I finally wake up, and then I'm a little bit startled and a little bit kind of like, oh, is he going to be mad? And he's like, it's okay, Ben. I do that in church all the time. And he just went on.
That's so
nice.
Just
did it. It's like, it's very nice guy.
Very nice.
Boring, but nice.
Yeah.
And then one last question. This is more of maybe a philosophical thing. Does technology open the door to creativity, or does it close the door? Does it stifle creativity? Is technology something that helps people be more creative, or does it stop people from being creative?
I think it can help people. When I think of technology for me and my situation, I think about my phone and like how much I rely on it. I need it for everything that I do, but it's also the main source of my distraction. Okay. Is that I'll be on TikTok. I'll be just like on my phone when I'm supposed to be working. Mm-hmm. But if somebody wants a pair of earrings that have a specific type of, somebody asked for pumpkin boobs today. Right. And so I just go up on YouTube and search polymer clay pumpkins. And there's always tutorials. But
you also do like the pictures? Because whenever I'm coming up with my episodes, it's like I just search pictures over and over again. That's generally the thing I use my phone for, is like reference photos.
I Google penis at least 3 times a week.
Oh, okay. How many? And
then for boobs, if somebody says, because it's obviously custom orders.
Right. Do you try and remain true to the cup size? Honestly.
I try my best. Yeah. It's not about the cup size. It's about how they rest. Because my earrings, it's truly just the tits. There's no body. So when they say I'm a 42C, right, I don't know what that means. I mean, I know what that means and I can look it up. But it's more... where do the nipples lie? Are they pointing up? Are they pointing down? Are they outward? Where's the weight of the boob? Is it a slope? I'm learning so much about breast types and breast shapes and stuff. People are very descriptive, and I can tell. I don't mean to be general to genders, but I notice that women or people who identify as female are really, really descriptive. When men order jewelry for their wives or girlfriends or friends or whatever, it's just like very basic descriptions.
Yeah.
If somebody says I'm a 36C or like a size that I can't quite visualize, because I do have like my breast molds. I made molds for like A, B cup, C, D cup, E.
Right.
But if somebody says I'm a 36H,
Right.
if I Google 36H, it'll be a person wearing a bra. I don't want to see them in a bra. I want to see their tits lying naturally. So when I Google, I search 36, whatever the size is, tits, not boobs, not breasts, tits, because then it's all the porn. Right. And that's where you get the best possible examples.
Well, are they? But that's the thing too. I mean, do they specify whether they're real or fake or anything like that? Or
if it matters.
Have you had people say that these are real or these are fake because they lie differently, right?
So I did a set yesterday. There was a before and after.
Oh,
so their boobs before and then their boobs after breast implants, and they specified where the scars should go. And so I add on.
That's really cool.
Scars. I do a lot of like trans anatomy, top surgery scars, T-dicks, trans dicks, FTM, like trans penis. Yeah. It's amazing. It is so cool. Right. Because this is all stuff that I could easily just do research out of curiosity, but it just hasn't come up. But this has forced me to do all kinds of research, and I just think it is incredible. Yeah. I think trans people are the bravest people in the world. When people trust me to make things for them.
Oh, yeah.
That symbolizes this huge, huge step in somebody's identity.
Yeah. We're taught that is a very sacred sort of area. You know what I mean? So any time that someone, you trust someone with that kind of thing, it means something, Yeah. Yeah, that's really interesting how detailed they get on their customization of those things. Do they ever like send you like legit
all the time?
Yeah,
all the time. I have to be careful because now I'm working out of my brother's house. Usually I'll just have reference photos up on my computer screen while I'm working. And the other day, my brother came home and was like, "Whoa, I didn't see anything, but my peripheral told me not to look in that direction." And I was like, "Oh my God, there's tits. There's tits on my screen. Don't look at them."
Right.
These people trust me with their tits.
It's an interesting job that chose you or you chose, or a little bit of both, really, right? So what does that have to do with creativity?
Everything.
Literally
everything.
Do you have anything to say, the closing thoughts on creativity, Rachel?
Just that I'm so glad that I have it.
Yeah.
And that I get paid to have it.
Right.
Paid to do it.
Right. What I would tell people about it is, if you're talking about artistic creativity, if you enjoy it, do it. You're going to make mistakes, and you just do what you want to do. Yeah. Like your dad, who just draws stick figures. I mean, if it's something that he enjoys, bees with teeth and shrimp that have smiley faces. And if that's, how you express yourself, there's no wrong answer. I'm going to say my name is Ben, because I always say my name was Ben, and that doesn't make any sense. So, my name is Ben.
And my name is Rachel.
As far as you know. And we've been your hosts. Thank you very much for joining us, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.